We are told in the book of Daniel not to eat the devil's choice of meat, but obviously it was referring to King Nebuchadnezzar, because what he wanted to do was to force the children of Israel, or if you like, Abednego, Shadrach, and Daniel, the three Hebrews, to eat from the king's table. What was on the king's table? Food that was offered to false gods. Okay, the Seventh Adventist interpreted. Let me just got too many. Let me just sort this out. What there? Give me 2 seconds. A lot of us do not understand the concept as to sacrificial food that are offered to idols, and hence why we tend to misquote the Bible, not really understanding the background. We were wrestling against a vicious, paganized world where food was tainted and corrupt, because the people in those days, everything that you did, which is why Paul said when you eat, you give thanks to God, because you are sanctifying your food. If you look at Hinduism, or the religion of Hindus, they believe that the cow is sacred. And the reason why is the cow is seen as divine. And you don't want to hurt the divine because it's Mother Earth. And it has a lot of pagan association, the fertility rite, which is the phallic. It all goes into this fertility cult, and hence why you do not harm animals, etc., or kill them for food, because not because of the ethic of killing the animal, but rather because they see these animals as divine. It's interesting today how the vegan world, how they managed to con and deceive the world, is by using climate change, claiming that meat is going to pollute the planet. This is how far-fetched they are willing to go to spread their faith, their system, which I will get to. Most vegans who has this mindset, what's interesting, they tend to be witches, they tend to be pagans, which is interesting, and they have an ethic. Well, they pretend to have an ethic, and that is good to the planet, good to the earth. But really what they're doing, they're pushing paganism, they're pushing this Mother Earth consciousness. It's very clever how they do it, and hence why a lot of vegans tend to, if you like, adopt this aggressive form of feminism. Because if you look at the history of, I'm not talking about the suffragettes who, and quite rightfully so, battled for women's equality. That I'm all for. However, they are going into the esoteric of this deep feminine energy, this feminine earth, because what they're doing, they are celebrating this divine mother. Is very complicated to go into, but it's sinister. What they're doing, they're forcing the world to eat at the devil's table, i.e., we're all going to become vegan, because in the name of health and consciousness, in the name of love, the world will be deceived. And it's interesting now that they are pushing this agenda that you can't even eat meat. This is forced on you. It's the same way they force the LGBT down your throat. And what will aspire or transpire from this is, go if you ever want to read the book the New World Order, Fairy Grove, it goes deep in how the animals are brainwashed not to eat, flesh, because behind it was a sinister agenda, the New World Order. And the animals didn't realize what was going on. But in the end, they realized when it was too late. And this is what's happening now. Be not deceived. Don't think to yourself that these vegans and climate change really have an ethic towards animals. I'm an animal lover. I rescue cats. Okay, I've also have rabbits as well. Okay, so I'm an animal lover. I don't hate animals. Now, but however, what they're doing, they're using this concept in order to push paganism onto the world. And don't remember, right? And that is, or do remember, and that is in order for end times to be serious, something powerful and benign has to be pushed onto the planet. Something that is humanist. If you look at the terminology, humanism was the answer to religion. You don't need religion because human collective consciousness can do good for each other. It's the creating your own values and your own ethics. Humanism was what the Illuminati tried to push onto the European world. However, do not be deceived, because the vegans and climate change activists, they're not really per se interested in the earth, but rather the bigger picture, what they're trying to promote. And what's interesting is how you got teenagers who are almost like hippies crying at the feet of the earth. Let's protect the mother. It's almost like you're going back into biblical days where people are worshipping Baal, worshipping, the Canaanites are bowing down to the golden calf. And this is deep symbolical, because while we are forced not to eat meat, it's interesting. Overnight, we're all becoming vegans. Overnight, we're all becoming conscious of the earth. But guess what? We're becoming conscious of the earth, veganism, but without God. In the end, what takes worship is the earth and the food that we eat. The food which is sacrificed to gods. Okay? It is no accident that it's almost as if everything's happening at the same time. First, they push the LGBT onto the world with such aggression. You had to not only embrace the LGBT, but adhere to their values, everything that they in. But a Christian who was on, I think it was Question Time, not Question Time. Oh, there's a program, The Big Question. That's The Big Question with Nicky Gumbel, and there was a Christian on there, and he asked this Christian MP, "Do you accept LGBT?" And the Christian replied, "I love them as a human being." Right? To which Nicky Campbell wasn't really happy, or Campbell, he wasn't really happy with that response. He said, "No, do you approve what they're doing in the bedroom?" He went really explicit, almost as if a demon had taken him over. He became possessed. He wasn't happy with the answer that this guy was saying, that he loves them as a human being. That wasn't enough. You had to agree with what they do in the bedroom, and he became sleazy. It became so bad that the Christian MP had to give up his post. They set him up, right? However, this is what's happening. while they're pushing this aggressive military LGBT agenda, the same time is climate change, at the same time veganism, and you think, what the hell is going on? You know it's end times because the three powerful forces, veganism, LGBT, and climate change, shove down your throats. And neither of these three unholy trinity, neither of them, you're not allowed to condemn. If you look at the signs of Noah, you can see it all around you. They are forcing us to eat from King Nebuchadnezzar's plate. We are forced to eat his choicest meat offered to the gods. In this sense, we are forced to eat vegan food, which they know full well has a pagan association. Look, I'm dairy free because I have allergy, to milk. I will pick up vegan food, right, because I can't have cow's milk. However, I'm not doing it with the intention that, oh, this is vegan, there's some kind of cult worship, but rather because of my health. There's a total difference. What they are doing, they are promoting a vegan consciousness. Climate change, LGBT. Before you know, you think, what the hell is happening to our minds? We're being brainwashed and it's become so aggressive. We are dancing around Baal. We are dancing around the king's table, drinking his goblet of wine, not realizing what is happening. Many of us discuss the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast takes many forms. The mark of the beast means the mark that the government or the devil gives you, his mark. And it's not just the 666, it's his values, his ethics. So in the times of when John was on the island of Patmos, and he said Rome was giving them the mark. That mark was to deny Christ and to follow pagan Rome. That was their mark on their foreheads, to deny Christ. A lot of us now are taking the mark of the beast. It's not just vaccine, but when we start to uphold antichrist beliefs, we are taking on the mark of the beast. They define what we think, how we behave. We become their mark. They put their mark on us. That's what the mark of the beast is. The one of many. People think, oh, it's just the 666. The 666 means the mark of man. Total destruction, annihilation, immoral, having no God in him. That's what the mark of the beast is, right? Total absence from God. When you look at the world today, you can see the mark of the beast. When we start to compromise, we no longer belong to God. We belong to the New World Order. We belong to the beast. You start to compromise your Christian values, biblical values, you become another mark of that beast that you profess you are condemning. When you start to compromise, then you become mark of that beast. If you look at climate change and all this vegan consciousness, etc., and the LGBT shoved down your throat, is the beast creating his mark on the earth. I dare anyone to challenge me. Is the beast creating his unholy ethics onto the earth? And you know something? Like the last days of Noah, everybody danced around this love consciousness, totality, collectivism. Everybody's dancing in the name of love vibration. That is the mark of the beast. Many people are so looking for this 666. It's deeper than that. When you start to move away from the values of the Bible, when you start to move away from the values of God, then you become the mark of the beast. He has his mark on you. He owns you. So the time you move away, you start compromising. Why do you think many pastors won't attack the Illuminati? Why do you think many pastors won't preach against Freemasons? Because they have that mark. The kingdom can't divide against itself. You can't attack that which pays your salary. The kingdom can't divide against itself. That's why no pastors will never attack the Illuminati. I could go deep into that. If you look at old church buildings, you know, all the stones were set up by Freemasons, etc. You got to be careful. You got to watch your spirit. You've got to guard your mind. That is where you'll find the true mark of the beast. He owns you. When he starts to water down your values and start to brainwash this earth worship, dancing around the calf and eating food from pagans, before you know it, you're part of the love vibration. You lose your salvation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget, share it and subscribe. Thank you.